For a show that lasted 8 seasons and 171 episodes, it is almost impossible for there to not be any plot holes, especially when it's a supernatural show and it is a show that has an expansive lore, history, and mythology. Now, anyone that actually watched The Vampire Diaries knows that the writers started to get really lazy the later one it actually gets in the show, and it was kind of a weird blend in which they actually got really ambitious in terms of expanding the lore. However, they got really lazy in terms of actually making the lore make sense in comparison to things that happened before or things that actually happened afterwards. And the later on in the show that you actually go, the more plot holes you actually encounter. Mainly because, like I said earlier on, the writers started to get really lazy. So join me as I go through the 10 biggest plot holes in The Vampire Diaries.
Why are you here?
I want the Ashen Dagger. The one weapon that can kill me.
Well, you're out of luck, because I don't have it. And last time I checked, I wasn't your errand boy anymore. What happens if I refuse to play fetch?
In layman terms, I drag your soul to hell.
Go for it. I'd rather burn than serve you for another second.
The first plot hole that I'm going to be discussing about is the bone daggers from season 8 and how exactly they work. We were first introduced to the bone daggers, or more specifically, the bone dagger, which was stated to be the only weapon in the entire world that could actually kill Cade. And initially, there was only one, which was Cade's bone dagger, which was made specifically from one of Cade's bones. And the show later on showed us that when you actually use it on Cade, Cade dies. Like, if you stab Cade with it, he dies. Which is fine so far, but the biggest problem is how exactly did it kill Cade permanently, but Catherine's bone dagger didn't. It only sent Katherine back to hell, which makes no sense. Why did the dagger send Katherine back to hell but not Cade? Now you might say that Cade resurrected himself, but so did Katherine. Because we know that when Katherine was stabbed with a bone dagger, her soul got sent back to hell, in which the hellfire that destroyed hell was actually what killed her. So why exactly didn't that happen for Cade? Cade was still linked to hell, meaning that if Cade actually dies in the mortal world, his soul will just get sent straight back to hell. So why exactly did this work differently for Katherine but not for Cade? And speaking of Katherine...
Fine, then we'll both go.
Somebody needs to stay here to make sure she's actually in hell when it's destroyed.
I'm aware, Stefan. Tell Elena that I did this for her. To pay for my past mistakes.
You can tell her yourself. I need to do this, Damon. I owe it to Bonnie and Enzo. I owe it to a lot of people.
I'm not gonna leave you to die here, Stefan.
Yes, you are.
This isn't even a plot hole, this is just pure stupidity. Like, the amount of times that the show actually forgets the fact that vampires actually have supernatural abilities is insane to me. Like, why exactly did Stefan need to inject Damon with a cure to turn him into a human because he believed that Damon was trying to sacrifice himself in order to kill Katherine? And why does Damon himself believe that he needs to sacrifice himself to actually kill Katherine? He's a vampire with super speed. Damon doesn't need to sacrifice himself. He has super speed. He can just get out of the way before the fire hits him. The exact same time Stefan actually stabbed Katherine, Damon could have got out of the way and easily escaped that fire. These people move faster than you can blink. Why exactly did the show keep forgetting that? He could have just stabbed Katherine and then just leave.
Way to get her hopes up for something that's never happened in the history of vampirism.
You know what? You weren't there the day Elena looked me in the eye and told me she absolutely never wanted this.
Then you shouldn't have let her die.
I never meant for her to die. She asked me to help Matt first, and I did.
And now the world has one more quarterback. Bravo, brother.
I made a choice that I will regret for the rest of my life. Now let me try to fix it.
This is yet another scene in which the show actually forgot the fact that vampires actually have supernatural abilities. I'm of course referring to the death of Elena in season 3. Like, this scene was so dumb that the actor for Stefan, Paul Wesley, actually was confused as to why exactly Stefan couldn't save Elena and Matt.
I think Stefan didn't save Elena from the car.
That's a very good question. When I read that scene, well, actually, when I read it, I was sort of concerned that it was confused, and then we rehearsed it, and it was like the day of shooting, and I went, wait a minute, the way this is blocked, the way they were doing this, I could very easily just grab Elena and bring her up to the surface, a vampire. And so I called the writers and I said, guys, this doesn't make any sense. And they sort of justified it in two ways. They said, firstly, you just can't do it. You can only grab one person and at a time. So that's their first justification. And their second justification was that Elena, this whole time, has been sort of symbolically trying to be a woman and make her decisions, and I've been letting her do what she needs to do. That was like towards the end, I was like letting her make her own choices, and she made the decision to take Matt and not me, and I respected her as a woman. I don't buy it, okay? I'll be completely honest. The writers are probably gonna get mad at me. I don't buy it.
Like, that's kind of dumb. And if you think about it, they're basically saying that the reason why you actually can't save both of them, in fact, the reason why you can't even save Elena on her own, it's not because you're not strong enough to save them. It's not because you're not fast enough to save them. It's because plot dictates you not to save them. That's it. Every possible way you actually look at this scene, it is dumb. Like, Stefan is more than strong enough and more than fast enough to actually help both of them. Like, I've seen on the internet people actually justifying this by saying that vampires, their powers don't actually work underwater. Where has this ever been stated? They just bring up a scene in which Damon says that vampires don't like water, which is a lie, because how exactly would they be showering? Damon and Elena was also standing in the rain. And not to mention, Stefan was strong enough to rip the doors off his hinges. Bearing in mind, the truck is waterlogged, meaning that the doors will probably be jammed shut. And Stefan was physically strong enough to rip it off his hinges in one pull, underwater. Also, the time that Elena spent arguing with Stefan to actually tell him that, oh, you need to save Matt before me, that could have been spent with him ripping apart your seatbelt, and then you can tell him, go save Matt, I will swim up. Matt can't swim, Matt can't move. You can, or at least probably can. I didn't really know whether or not her leg might be broken or whatever. So let him help you first to undo your seatbelt, and then he grabs you, or you just swim up. And if you can't swim, Stefan is more than strong enough to grab both of you to swim up. This whole thing is literally a definition of what plot hole is. Like, it literally makes no sense in comparison to anything. Like, this whole scene exists because of plot, and it needed to be that Elena dies, and Stefan being somewhat the reason why she actually died. And if you ask why couldn't Stefan do this, the answer would always be because plot says so.
I've been lying to everyone for months, and I can't keep lying knowing that everyone's waiting for her to swoop in and save the day.
I don't speak crazy person, Jerry. You're gonna have to translate that for me.
Think about it, Damon. I was dead. I wasn't supposed to come back.
Yes, exactly. The beauty of body magic, which is what we need right now.
You're not hearing me. Magic finds a balance. I'm not supposed to be here. No. You can't just bring somebody back from the dead. There is always a price to pay for it.
Don't say it, Jeremy. Don't you dare.
She didn't show up to her dad's funeral, Damon. Nobody has spoken to her all summer.
Please, Jeremy.
You say it and everything in Elena's life goes to crap. Do you understand me? Everything changes.
Do not say it, Jeremy.
Don't.
Bonnie's dead.
This is more so an example to actually showcase the mistreatment of Bonnie's character in the Vampire Diaries, because how exactly did her friends, two of which are her best friends that she's known of just as long as she could even remember anything, like she's known of them probably since they were like 0 years old, and none of them noticed that Bonnie is dead. Jeremy texting them as Bonnie or Jeremy sending emails to them as Bonnie does not mean that they'll believe that Bonnie is still alive. When Bonnie ignored Elena for a few days, she was angsty trying to find out why. She didn't try to call her, she went and actually tried to find Bonnie. When she was mad in season 3 about what happened to her mom by Damon, and she was mad at Elena went to Bonnie's house. You're telling me Bonnie's dad died and nobody went to go visit her? Bonnie's dad died and she didn't show up to the funeral. Bearing in mind, Bonnie's dad is literally the last parental figure that she actually has that she's still close to, because she isn't really close to her mom. You're telling me Bonnie didn't attend the funeral and they didn't notice that something was wrong? Also, wouldn't Bonnie's mom show up at the funeral? And if she did, why didn't she also find it odd that the fact that Bonnie isn't there, even though her dad just died, the person that literally raised her along with her grams? Anyway, speaking of Bonnie,
Verdict is she's acting strange. She kissed me.
Excuse me?
Yeah. My car broke down, so we got a hotel room so she could shower.
Whoa. You guys got a hotel room with a shower?
Yeah, but it wasn't like that. I mean, I stopped it. Obviously, I couldn't do that to Damon.
Yeah, but she could. I don't get it. She knows that this would destroy him. What is she doing?
That's what I mean. It's like she's given up on Damon, and he thinks that she was trying to get me to kill him tonight.
No. I mean, she may be mad at him, but she would never want him dead.
Unless Matt texted you, help Kay, before Nadia stopped him. Kay, as in Katherine. And when Katherine was dying, Nadia figured out a way to put Katherine's spirit inside Nadia's body.
Yeah, but that didn't happen because Katherine had a change of heart. No.
This is also a very terrible plot hole because the lore for this occurred within the exact same season the plot hole actually happened. We got introduced to the concept of the anchor to the other side in season 5, episode 5. Like, we know that the anchor exists on both planes simultaneously, and for you to get to the other side, you have to go through the anchor. The anchor would have to feel the pain of you passing through their body. The first anchor was on Mara, and then it was passed on to Bonnie. And for some reason, they all assumed that Katherine was dead, but Katherine didn't pass through Bonnie's body to actually get to the other side. If she did, Bonnie would have known because it hurts for any soul to actually pass through her body. Not to mention, she has seen Katherine before. She's very familiar to Katherine. She knows how Katherine looks and she knows who Katherine is. So there's no way that she could actually miss Katherine. Whoever goes through her body has to walk up to her and then touch her to actually go through. So they all assume that Katherine died even though she didn't end up on the other side, and nobody bothered to check up with Bonnie. Or Bonnie didn't mention anything about Katherine not passing through her. And some might say, well, they might assume that she's a human. Even if you disregard the fact that Katherine is a doppelganger, which in turn makes her supernatural, meaning that she would end up on the other side, they all know that Katherine was a traveler. Bonnie knows that because she was told that. The Salvatores know that because Nadia literally told them right to their face, verbatim, that Katherine is a traveler. Nadia even said she has a way to actually save Katherine's life by having Katherine take over her body as a passenger. Nobody can do that except for the travelers. And Katherine wouldn't be able to do that if she isn't a traveler herself or she is a practicing witch. So either way, she would have ended up on the other side. So how exactly didn't Bonnie think of that? Or at least mention the fact that she didn't go there.
Ramsey, you don't look right. Something's wrong over here, Bonnie. Some of the witches think that the travelers tried to overwhelm you so that someone could get through. As in come back? Whoever it is, he's hiding from us. And now this place is...
That wasn't creepy. What's going on over here?
I don't know. But whatever the travelers did and whoever managed to get through, it's got the witches scared.
How exactly did Marcus getting resurrected for some reason cause the other side to be unstable, even to the point in which it later on collapsed? If you notice, when you actually go past season 3, like once you start watching from season 4 onwards, a lot of the explanations for certain events is literally just plot dictated to happen. Whether or not it makes sense, whether or not something that happened earlier on actually completely disprove it. Like when it comes to this, Marcus isn't the first person to be resurrected from the other side. Esther was resurrected from the other side. Why didn't it collapse or be unstable back then? Nothing really happened to the other side when Esther was resurrected. And if it's because it damaged the other side, how exactly is that more damaging to the other side than Bonnie dropping the veil or Esther creating doorways to the other side? But again, plot needs the other side to fall, so it has to happen.
I don't know how they're even doing this. Enzo?
I think they're siphoning directly from you.
But I don't have any magic.
Of course you do, love. How else do you think you've been able to stay connected to me? Let them siphon you, Bonnie. Tell them to use the magic to save you.
No.
Look, I know that you think we'll be parted forever if you let go of me now, but I believe the opposite.
This one created 2 plot holes, the first one being a bit of a minor one, which is that how exactly was Bonnie required to use her magic to actually keep Enzo's soul in her dimension, but Cade, who would probably have millions of people, as in millions of souls in his dimension, but he doesn't have magic, as in he's not a witch. So what exactly was he using to keep them there? Because he's a psychic, not a witch. And by the way that Cade describes Bonnie's dimension to her, and based on how we actually saw hell was created, it looks pretty much the exact same way Bonnie's dimension was created. Meaning that the properties of both dimensions, as in how the rules of maintaining the dimension and maintaining the souls within the dimension, how exactly it works should be the exact same. So how exactly did Bonnie require magic to keep souls within her dimension, but Cade didn't? And we know that Cade had people in his dimension from as early as pretty much the very start, as in from the exact moment that he actually created hell. Because the people that killed him were the first people to be in hell. So how exactly was he able to keep them there? And finally, the second thing. Why is her still having magic somehow surprising to her? She should have known that already, because there's no way the Swordsman twins could have actually created a prison world. Creating a prison world isn't something that you just randomly do. It's really powerful, and you need a lot of magical power to actually pull it off. They would have had to draw power from Bonnie to actually pull that off. And even if we say they drew from the armory, how exactly would that make any sense? How would two children somehow channel the entire armory without dying? The only way they could have possibly pulled it off is if all three of them were the ones that actually did the spell. Just because they're siphoners does not mean that they won't die if they siphon off too much. So it's either they had to siphon off Bonnie to actually do the spell, or all three of them would have to do the spell. Either way, that spell wouldn't have worked if Bonnie wasn't a practicing witch at that point. So Bonnie should have already known that she had that magic all along. Or the whole scene for creating a prison world should have not made any sense.
Do you feel that? Is anybody here? It's been vacant for decades. People must break in all the time.
Yeah, there's no way that super duper uber paranoid Klaus wouldn't have actually heard Elena's heartbeat. Like, Elena was terrified and was breathing really fast. That means that her heartbeat would be racing. To vampires, that would be really loud. To Klaus, that would be like a siren, because Klaus is very paranoid. Klaus wouldn't just assume that somebody might be there. The moment that Klaus stepped into that house, Klaus would have immediately heard Elena. Not to mention when Klaus moved the cupboard that was actually acting as a secret door to where Elena was actually standing, Elena made a very audible gasp. It wasn't really loud, but a regular human would have heard it, although only faintly, and a vampire would have easily heard that. An original would have also heard that. So yeah, there is no way Klaus didn't actually know that Elena was in that house.
I'm so sorry.
No, Alaric. I'm just glad that you're okay. I mean, up until an hour ago, I didn't even want my memories to return. I was the one who made the choice to lose them. Now, I have to live with the fact that you can't give them back to me.
Yeah, that's not how compulsion works based on this very same show. Alaric died. Yes, of course, he got resuscitated, but he still died before that actually happened. The moment that you die, everything that's magical that's tied to you, especially when it comes to vampires, automatically gets undone. We know this because if it wasn't, then the daggers wouldn't be enough to actually undo compulsion. Not to mention, when somebody dies, if they own a house, their ownership to that house is automatically null and void the very moment that they died. And then in season 7, Matt's heartbeat just stopping was enough to actually null and void his name in regards to the ownership of the Salvatore boarding house. And Bonnie had to resuscitate him to bring him back to life. Cardiac arrest means death. If your heart stops, you died. Yeah, of course, it's not biological death where your cells actually begin to die, but your heart stops beating, and in the supernatural world, you're dead. Meaning that Elena should have got her memories the very moment that Alaric temporarily died. Not to mention, that isn't even the only way that she could have got her memories. Alaric became a human. How is his compulsion still up and running? Elena should have gotten her memories because Alaric became a human anyways, because we saw that happen with Stefan. But anyways, let me know in the comments which plot holes I missed, and if you want one for the originals as well, and also legacies. And as always, like and subscribe for more.